Hi all, it's Matt at Pegtown Pines. I'm doing my second racking today. I'm gonna go from the plastic to the glass. I plan on leave it in the glass until I need to keg it, which I don't know, probably a month, maybe less. I don't drink a lot of cider lately. I haven't had to take any to parties or anything, so it lasts a little longer if I'm not going anywhere. Um, We'll see how long it lasts. This is the first time I've racked it twice. It should be a lot cleaner now when I have to keg it. Basically, like I said, it starts off in the brew pail, and then I racked it to another brew pail, and now I'll be racking it into the glass. I've already cleaned and sanitized my tubing, which I'm going to connect on next, and I also got a gauge. I was going to check the percent of sugar that's left. So let's go ahead and take this off the top here. Right up here. Okay. Now, if you remember the last video, it only cooked for about another day. I did cook a little bit more out of it. That was sanitized ahead of time. When I stir it, when you rack it, you stir things back up. So any last little bit of sugar should be dissolved. Okay, I'm coming up with when I read it last time, it was pretty much 1.002, 1% alcohol, and or at about 0% left. And I'm going to say it really didn't brew much more. Didn't think it did. It brewed maybe a 0.001. It's just off the line, so that's what we're going to call that. We're going to call that, like I said, I've been doing this so long, it's just sort of natural. But yeah, it was 1.002, so I'm going to call it 1.001, which means pretty much all the sugar's been condensed out of this thing. This should be about 8% from our initial readings. Should be pretty close to 8% alcohol content, which is pretty strong. Not as strong as my original, but I think the next time I make it, I'm going to actually try to downsize it just a little bit. I think I'm going to add a pound and a half of brown sugar. I'm going to go to a pound next time, and that way I can that will be a little less alcohol. I'm really after just the flavor. The negative about the alcohol, as much as it tastes good, is that you can't drink it. I mean, yeah, I guess you can. I guess technically you can, but I remember when I first made this stuff and I drank, I don't know, at least four glasses, and man, did I have a drunk on. When I first made this, it was, I'll have to go back. This is my 28th batch of this. I keep records, as you can see. Some of the first batches were a little different. This technically might not have been my first batch, depending if I changed it. Some of my first ones were only 2 gallons. So that's a little different number. Yeah, here's an early batch. 3 pounds of brown sugar, twice as much as I'm doing now, and it came out to about 9.5 to 9.6 alcohol. That's really more than I care for. Here's another one that was 10% alcohol. If I keep going back farther, I'll find even more probably. This one, that must be towards the, yeah. Well, you get the point. The more sugar you use, the more alcohol, but like I said, I'm using food grade yeast. I'm told that it can brew out to over 12%, but I'm not sure. I doubt you'd get that close to 15% using food grade yeast. But hell, even if you brewed it out to 12%, that's pretty strong for That's actually too strong for cider. So like I said, next batch I'm going to drop her down to 1 pound, make it a little less. The only difference I might do is I might use 2 cans of apple concentrate. That will add sugar to it. So technically I won't be dropping it 2 pounds of or half a pound of sugar, but I'll drop it the half pound and add maybe I'll do the 2 concentrates. The concentrate's just going to give it more apple flavor. This part is really quick. That's why I decided to add this. The 2, I used to only do this once. I'd brew it and then leave it in the brew pail for 10-12 days and then put it into the glass. I'm sure you can see it's pretty much down to the bottom already. It doesn't take long. I'm going to start tipping it up, trying to get all of it. And when you tip it up, you want to go easy and slow, because you don't want to disturb the stuff on the bottom. You want the stuff on the bottom just to stay on the bottom. I didn't worry about it as much the last racking, because I knew I had this extra racking. But now that I'm just getting into the clear container, I really want it, since it's going to be in the clear container for, gosh, I'm going to guess a minimum a month. It could be in there a couple months. I've actually bought more apple juice. I wanted to get another batch started actually soon, so I can actually get a batch into one of these glass carboys for a good 6 months. I think the longest I've ever had them in was a couple months. And I'm just getting my first little sediment that's going into the glass, very little. It's only what's on top of I guess I could stop it sooner, but yeah, I hate to waste cider. So that's about all I'm going to use. I could have gotten another couple ounces, but the whole idea was to get less waste on the bottom. So, when I made this, I started off with probably just short of 5 gallons, 4 3/4. I didn't even look at the number. I'm still at over 4.5, even though I waste a little each time. But that's how quick this is. Now, this bubbler will usually, when you pour it into like this, it's going to reactivate it. There's going to be stuff still cooking down in here. My meter said it had a little sugar left. Now that it didn't really get stirred that bad, but it's still changed just by the racking mechanism. So the bubbler's already working. It'll probably bubble it might bubble for a day again, and then it'll show pressure on it. But this is, that really is not a lot. But the nice thing is now when I strain it out of here, it's not as easy, because when you're straining it out of there, you're using a siphon. So basically, you're sticking that into the bottom and flipping your bottom. So it'll be nicer to have this cleaner. I've always been just real careful when I do this, but it'll just make it that much easier. And you saw how easy it was to rack. So there's no reason not to rack it a second time into these plastic tubs. I think the rule is depending how your yeast is cooking. When it stops cooking, when your bubbler stops pretty much working, that's when you can transfer it. I'm going to say anywhere between, depends how fast your yeast is cooking, I'm going to say 4 to 7 days. And then transfer it into here. And really, it doesn't need to be that long into here. The biggest thing you're transferring is you're getting a little bit more yeast to cook out in the drop. And getting as much of the yeast to drop out of the cider by the time it goes to your finishing. And this is what I call finishing. You're letting this cider rest. It's cooking out. The purpose isn't to cook the rest of the sugar out. It's just to let it to rest. And the rest of the yeast will settle. So that way, this will be such a clean batch. This will be sort of fun this time. Hey, one quick note. I wanted to add in the cost of all this. Like I said, I've been making this for a while. I've been buying lately. I get just your great value apple juice at Walmart. It's fairly affordable. These are $1 something. I buy 6 of them, 4.5 gallons. It comes to $10.44. Can of concentrate, depending on the brand. The last ones I bought were $1.18 a piece. Brown sugars, brown sugar up at £1.50, it's about $1. You're paying 68-70 cents a pound, somewhere in that range. So I just put $1 down. I used the yeast nutrients. I'm not even sure that's necessary, but that costs about a quarter. 2 tablespoons of yeast is about 35 cents, and that's using my bulk bread yeast. I don't use a special liquor yeast on this. I think I've mentioned that before. But the whole total cost to make this is $13.22. So you can round it down to 13. You can round it up to 14. Either one. 14 bucks is even if you pay a little bit more for your juice. Heck, even if you paid a bit more for your juice and your concentrate, I doubt you'd be over 15 or 16 a gallon, or if it's for a batch. And it makes about a 4.5 gallon batch. My kegs are 5 gallons. I guess ideally I should probably squeeze out a little bit more. I should probably, when I mix this up, I should probably brew it right to 5 gallons. If I did a half a gallon more apple juice, time you add the brown sugar and the concentrate in, you'd be a little over, and then by the time you filter out, spill a little this and that, you'd probably be right at 5. I've never really worried about it. I guess I could try to squeeze one more half a gallon of apple juice in there, or maybe a little less. But if I was doing this commercially, that's probably what I do. You want to use your full full capacity. But since it's just for me, it really doesn't matter. But yeah, I just wanted to insert this into the video so you'd see that it's pretty affordable. You break it down per glass. I mean, at a gallon, you're getting 10 glasses at minimum. So so I'm getting 45 glasses minimum. It's probably more like 50 glasses. So at $13, you do the math, but that's awfully cheap for a drink, and it's a good drink. Maybe in the future I'll try. I'll show you one of my other variants. I've also in the past I've added a cherry concentrate, and made it an apple cherry cider. That was good. I think I like the apple cider, just the plain apple, a little bit better, I guess, for everybody's taste. But if you liked cherry, you add that. One of these other videos, maybe I'll make it. I'll have to look up how much cherry I use, but I used to use just a cherry concentrate. But okay, well, enjoy the rest of the video. Bye. This will be such a clean batch of cider going to the keg that it would be really, really easy. But so this was the I think the 3rd video. I ended up doing the extra racking, so there'll be one last video. The next video will include me basically siphoning from there back into a pail, adding brown sugar for sweetener. This cider is very, very dry now. We're cooking out all the sugar, and it'll be very dry. When I put the sugar back in, that would actually start your fermenting process again, except for basically I get the sugar in and I put it on CO2, and then I get it in the cooler. Your cooler is going to stop your process. And I think the one time that I didn't get it in the cooler right away was the one time that I noticed that it did start to cook a little. I was digging around trying to get the pressure to basically on the keg quick, to get the air into the cider. I basically gone back to saying, hey, let's let time do it. Once it goes into there, I put brown sugar, and then it'll go into the keg. And then in the keg, what you want to do is you shake your keg up, and then you put CO2 on it. And as you shake your keg, you'll see the CO2 is going into the cider. I just do that a few times, and then I put it in the cooler. And it usually takes about 2-3 days. I'd say a good 3 days. Usually 2 days after, I might try a little bit. And then I usually find it's not quite there yet. So I'm going to say your ideal is probably 3 to 4 days. It depends how much you shake it. Like I said last time, I shook it a little bit and got it in the cooler and let time did it, and it was ready in about three to 4 days for drinking. By then, that way your carbonation has gotten into it, and it doesn't. And the sugar that's in it's not going to ferment once it's cold. So, but that's about it for now. If you want to see the fourth and final one, that one's a little more work. When I go ahead and keg it, go ahead and subscribe. Like the video if you like it, and I guess till next time, Matt at Pickdown Pines. Bye.